Come on, buddy. Easy, easy.
Next up, we're going to be doing the pilot bearing. And then we're going to install the motor plate and the flywheel and the clutch. So that's going to be the next step. Here's a roller pilot bearing. You can just go ahead and hammer that in. It looks like it got a good amount of rust inside that pocket that it goes into, so I'm going to try and clean out some of that rust. Hit it with a splash of brake clean, see how we did. Alright, that looks much better. See if that thing will go in there now. So that pilot bearing would not go in there. So I took it and put it in the freezer. And this puppy is cold. And it's actually as cold as it can get because I had just put it in there to hang out for a day, and then I was gonna try to tap that sucker in. Things got real busy at work, and now it's like a week later. So that pilot bearing has been in there for like, I think over a week, and now I'm gonna pull it out and try to get that thing tapped in. I measured it before it went in there, and it was 1.095, I think. And now it's 1.093, I believe. So it is measurably smaller, so I'm gonna try and tap it in now and see if it's any easier. I don't know if it's gonna go in or not, but we'll give it a shot. Damn, why won't you go in your home? Too good for your home? Jeez. Okay. I didn't want to have to do this. But you made me do this. Just know. Hopefully this thing presses in without any issues. Oh. That's not straight at all. That's crooked. That doesn't feel very good. Okay, had to do some readjusting because it was way too crooked. Now I think it's going in there. Yeah, it's moving now. No, don't do that. We were home free. Oh, I need a screwdriver. Okay, let's see if we can get it done with that jammed in there. No! No! Alright, so I thought I read somewhere that if one size tool wasn't working, you just use a bigger size. Oh. No. No, 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 no. There's like bits of chrome like flaking off this thing. I can see them. Oh God, please don't explode. It's going in there. God, it takes a lot of force though. That is gonna have to be good enough. Holy crap. That thing is never coming out of there. That bearing will be in that crank for the rest of the crank's life. I'm pretty sure, because I can't imagine, as tight as that thing is in there, I can't imagine it ever coming out. Little flakes of metal everywhere. God, I have to at least attempt to clean it. I'll get a blue shop rag. I'll try to wipe what I can out of there and then just pray that it holds together. I hope that's going to be in there far enough. We'll see. God, I hope the transmission input shaft goes in there. Man, I hope I didn't just completely screw this whole thing up. We'll see. Okay, so next up we're going to install the motor plate now that that pilot bearing's in there. Got the motor plate right here, and then after that is going to go the flywheel. There's still some oil on there, so we're going to go ahead and clean that off. Some mineral spirits or something. Denatured alcohol maybe, and then we'll get this thing installed. I love denatured alcohol. I'll clean all kinds of stuff with it. Okay, I think this is the right way this time, yep. Alright, I'm using ARP flywheel bolts, 200-2802. It says don't use any washers with them. Loctite 242, which Permatex Blue thread locker is the same stuff. And then ARP Ultra Torque assembly lubricant came with these. Torque to 85 foot-pounds. So it says to put the Permatex Blue thread locker on the threads, and then the lubricant goes underneath the head of the bolt, and then torque them to 85 foot-pounds. So that's what the instructions say, and I figure ARP probably knows what the hell they're doing, so I'm going to follow the directions. Okay, so the bolts are prepped. That grease that's on the underside of the bolts that came from ARP, that stuff looks a lot like just moly grease with some graphite mixed into it. Of course, I have no way to know if that's what it actually is, but that's what it looks like. So I'm going to slide this underneath the car, and we're going to get to installing this flywheel. Nope, that's not what you're supposed to do. This was going so well. Oh, everything was going great. Why'd you have to? Nope. Son of a bitch. Ugh. That was loud. Jerk. This should just hang on there. Should just hang on there, nice and easy. Apparently flywheel just needs a little help on, that's all. Tight fit. Tight fit. Okay, I got this pry bar. I got this pry bar right here. I'm going to try and go ahead and wedge it in there against this dowel pin. See if that didn't hold it in place enough for me to torque these. There we go. I think that'll do it. That'll probably do it. Okay, here we go. It's supposed to be 85 foot-pounds. I got too confident in my pry bar. I was letting it just do its thing. I was like, oh, he's got that on lock. No big deal. I ain't worried. And then he was like, peace. Last one. It did click. It clicked. Okay. Flywheel's in. All right, next up, I got the Mcleod clutch kit. I've got 6 bolts for that, also ARP, and I'm gonna do the same thing as last time, just prep the bolts out here and then set them on the car, slide them underneath the car, and install them from there. All right, here's a pressure plate. Got the friction disc here. I'm gonna clean this up with some alcohol and put it in.
Trying not to touch this friction plate is not easy. Okay. Let's see here. There we go. Stick it there. Hope it stays there for a second. Okay, so this should just slip right over this. Gaps. Oh my gosh, this is heavy. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Okay, so you got everything just barely finger tight. Now this has a little bit of play movement in here. I want it to be exactly centered on that. So I'm gonna scoot it around a little bit, find out where the top is of that and the bottom. Go up somewhere in the middle, right about there. That looks like, feels like about center. So we're gonna do ARP's recommended 45. I'll torque that right now. Sloppiest torque job ever, but nonetheless, all done. All right, so clutch is in, clutch is torqued, and I figured while I was down here, I would measure from these mounts right here up to, whoops. So I measured from the back of this up to here, and it looks like it's gonna be about exactly 22 inches. So now I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna compare that measurement to the transmission length from the mount up to the front of the bell housing. So I'm gonna go do that right now. And I'm absolutely blown away by this. This bell housing is 6.5 inches deep. And this transmission from the mounting point right here up to the front face of the transmission, which will connect obviously to the bell housing, is 15 3/4 inches. So that means the whole thing is 22 1/4 inches from the mounting point to the front of the bell housing. It's 22 inches from the back of the motor to the center line of the transmission mount, and it's 22 1/4 inches from the front of the bell housing on the transmission back to the mounting point. So bottom line is it's gonna line up perfectly, which is so freaking cool. I'm stoked on that. So on that good news, there's more good news, and that is that we are done with the pilot bearing. Check the rear main seal, that's good. Motor plate's on, flywheel's on, and the clutch is on. So all this is done. So that's gonna be it for this one. In the next one, we're going to prep the trans to install the bell housing, measure for the release bearing, and bleed and install the release bearing. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the videos, please subscribe, and I will see you next time. So I was in reviewing some footage, and I noticed when I was using the 3-jaw puller, the smaller one, the tip snapped off and went behind the roller bearing. Check this out. No. No. Now, needless to say, I gotta get that out of there. Can't have that thing just floating around in there. So I've already installed the pressure plate and the friction plate and the flywheel and the motor plate. So I'm gonna see if I can't figure out a way to get that little piece out of there. Here's a puller I was using. I thought it was like this when I started using it, but it wasn't. The tip of this sucker snapped right off. Okay, so what I've settled on is I can't use the big magnet for grabbing stuff that I have over there that came with this one, but I do have this magnet right here. It's like a bar magnet, and I'm pretty sure I can put it on the end of this, and hopefully that'll hold it well enough that I can go through there, poke that little piece of metal, and drag it out. At least that's what I'm hoping. If this thing snaps, if this thing pulls off and goes in there, though, I'm gonna be really irritated. That's the plan. Yep, and sure enough, right down there, tiny little thing's just kicking it. I'm gonna use this, try to go in there and get it. Oh man, that's gonna wanna stick to everything. Okay. Come on, buddy. Easy, easy. Come on, I'll get hooked in there. There it is. Whew. Got her out of there.